This Season 2 bonus episode is brought to you ad-free by Dig City Supply.
Shop where the champions shop, Katie.
What's the address?
It is 47 West Park Street in Uptown Butte. But really, shop where the champions shop. This is the official online retailer of Montana Tech Athletics and one of Uptown's biggest offerings of Montana State, University of Montana, fan apparel, all the local schools. It is truly, and I'll joke about this again, but it's where the champions shop.
It's true. It's really cool. It's retro vibes. It's got all the good stuff. Go do some shopping.
Yeah, so thank you to Dig City Supply, 47 West Park Street, digcitysupply.com. And here is your, of all the places, ad-free.
John, it's summer.
I know. I don't know how to podcast when it's light out.
It's so daylight, and it's evening.
Actually, it's the most summer today, isn't it? It's like solstice.
No, not today. But we're really close to the solstice.
So, like, it's summerest
This
of
is
summer.
like the most daylight, and we're here.
And we're all beautiful. All three of us are beautifully tanned up and
We're
delicious.
looking great.
Yeah, we
We're
feel
looking summery and
good.
fun.
Golly.
And here we are. We've got
Back in the dojo for a bonus episode.
a bonus episode.
First ever bonus episode. We're hoping it goes well because we're rusty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how to do this, but
Yeah, we got this.
we're back in action. We've talked about bonus episodes for a while.
We've kicked it around and
Since-
finally, since we've started
Yeah.
forever. But we finally have like the roads have crossed, and
Mm-hmm.
we've got a fantastic guest today, the recently retired outgoing Chancellor from Montana Tech, Les Cook, is in the house. And Les has done a fantastic job in Montana Tech for the last 6 years. I'm happy to call him a friend and a confidant and a colleague. But he's a great guy. He's done so much work for that university, and that has also spilled over into the community of Butte. But I don't know a lot of his backstory. I just know about his time here. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him.
Yeah, I don't know him at all. I just he seems to be a fan fave.
Les Cook is a fan fave.
Yeah,
Let's go with
of
that.
students and community members alike. So I can't wait to get to know him a bit better.
Yeah, he's done a great job leading the university, guiding the future of the university. I think he's like set the foundations to kind of hand off. And he's been a good addition. We're going to miss him. I hate seeing that U-Haul outside of the Chancellor's residence on campus.
It's
but
sad.
yeah, we'll kind of talk shop with the Chance Cook. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Buckle up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chancellor Les Cook. Hit me with that music.
Of all the places, of all the places, of all the places.
Well, we have a real solid outline to follow.
We have a solid outline.
Yeah, that I
So you sent me an outline?
Yeah. Thanks for doing your homework. I can tell you're retired.
I don't read text anymore.
Oh.
Why would you? It's summer.
That just makes me wonder, how retired really are you?
How retired really am I? Well, I got another week-ish.
Oh, you're still on the payroll.
I'm still on payroll until the end of June.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we need to keep this
My contract
PG
is
then.
through the end of June. And so the idea was we're going to have a transition month, which we've had. This is not ordinary for higher ed. Typically, new person comes in, old person leaves like the week before or a month before or whenever. And so it's been really awesome. And it's, I'm really invested obviously in Montana Tech, and I really want Johnny to be successful. And so any help I can give him and help introduce him to people and those kinds of things makes it all the more worthwhile. And so what I've tried to do is give him insight into things, share what I think, things that he needs to know, and then be in the background.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So
Seeing that U-Haul outside of the house was a little kick in the gut, though. I've got to admit. Nobody wants to see you go, Les.
Aw, well, thank you. I'm not sure there's nobody wants to see me go. I'm sure there's got to be somebody who wants to see me go.
Well,
These jobs are not, I mean, everybody doesn't always love you in these roles. So,
Well, I think that means you're doing something right. You can't have everybody love you.
no, and that's actually what I want to talk about is because. Well, let's back up. Let's get Les Cook. Let's get who you are first of all. Let's back up to Little Les running around the ranch. Where are you from originally? And like, give us a little bit of that.
So
backstory.
I grew up in the Utah-Nevada border. It's like in between Wendover and Ely, Nevada. You head on Highway 50 to Ely, Nevada. 30 miles out of Wendover, you take a left and you head back into Utah. And so I grew up in a little ranching community, the second highest mountains in Utah, or second tallest mountains are out there. Deep Creek Mountain Range. Very beautiful, old, pristine valley. My grandfather's brothers, they all landed out there. And my dad was born and raised out there, lived there his whole life outside of 5 years in Montana. Cool. And so I grew up out there. A ranch kid. We had a home outside of Salt Lake City. I had an older sister that's 10 years older that when she got high school age, she either had to live with relatives and board out, or we had to do something different. She did that for a year, hated it. My parents said, well, we're going to buy a house. So they bought a house in this little town called Grantsville. And so I did elementary school there. So very rural. We got electricity in 72. We got telephones in 1985 when I was in college.
Wow.
I have funny. So when I was in college,
I don't know what to say to that.
When I was in college, I would go to. I had a friend at Redondo Beach, and we'd go to California every year for spring break. Well, a couple of years, and so Clint was. I mean, you're having fun, you're partying. Everywhere you go, Clint would say, "This is my friend Les. His parents just got phones last summer." I'm like, oh, thanks. Well, that's my claim to fame. I'm the kid from the sticks that just got phones last summer.
And it's true. It's not like one of those jokes like, yeah, they're from Montana. He rides his horse to town every day. Like that sort of stereotype. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
God,
so our home that we have in Michigan, we have an old like Magnavox. It isn't even a Magnavox. I can't remember what it is. It's a green TV. It was like the first TV in the valley that I grew up in.
Wow.
And it's we made it into like an end table. It's just we took it out of the stand. It sits there at the end of the couch, and students come over and they're like, "What is that?" So
That's pretty cool.
That's the antique.
So that gives you a little insight into Ibapaw. It's a little ranch community, about 100 people.
Very cool. Did you grow up to be did you want to be a rancher when you grew up? Was that a family was that going to get passed on to you? Because I don't want to make a judgment call, but you don't look like a rancher.
Yeah. It's, you can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy, right? Mm-hmm. So when I can go home and jump on a horse and go rope and do that kind of stuff. But
it's like riding a bike.
No, I was probably an anomaly with my siblings. I mean, I'm the only one that doesn't own a 4-horse trailer. I'm the only one that doesn't currently own a horse. I have all the gear, but I don't have a horse. I went off to college thinking that I was going to be a veterinarian. And I actually went to Wendover to high school because they started running a bus when I was in 7th grade from Ibapaw to Wendover. And my mom was like, we're moving back to the ranch. And so... but I thought that I would be a veterinarian. I had no chemistry in high school, and I lasted about a week in chemistry in college. And I'm like, oh, I got to change my major. Whoops. And so I had thought that I had a lot of involvement. 4-H had a profound impact on me as a kid because that's all there was to do really in the summers. Right. And so I spent a lot of time in 4-H as a kid and thought, well, I'll be an extension agent or a 4-H, like a 4-H agent. I had a couple of people that had a profound influence in my life. I went to 4-H camp every year and was a camp counselor and those kinds of things, and actually was a national safety winner for the state of Nevada as I got older in high school.
Is that hanging on your wall?
I went to Chicago. It introduced me. We stayed at the Conrad Hilton.
Nice.
We smoked pipes. We were like...
Got your velvet jacket on.
We were juniors in high school, and it's like you're in this very prestige old hotel in Chicago, and it's
right downtown. Sure,
it was the first time my cousin and I had ever flown like commercially, and cool. Everybody's it's like there was a cigar bar off of the lobby, and there's this smell of pipe, and I was like, man, it smells so good. And so we went and bought pipes. We were like, smoke pipe for
Like the big city. It's like, I
So it
immediately
was-
regret this decision.
So it's like, and that kind of actually, those experiences kind of introduced me to life outside, life beyond. And so I thought, there's other things that I might do. And so in college, I changed my major like 5 times and ended up, my undergraduate degree was in political science.
Okay.
A hell of a long ways from pre-veterinary
Yeah.
science to animal science to,
Yeah.
but it worked out. And I stayed at Utah State and did my master's degree as well. So
Political science, that means you can argue with people? Is that kind of what that means? Attorneys and...
yeah, in the 80s, the yuppie thing to do was you wore your Izod, Lacoste,
sure,
or Genera, and you were either going to go to law school or you were going to go to medical school. I'm like, I'll go to law school. Political science, that'll prepare me to go to law school.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I took the LSAT in between. Well, like I spent a summer in DC and I came home and took the LSAT and I did okay. But I'm like,
Just not excited.
what am I going to do with law degree?
Yeah.
It just didn't fit me. And the vice president for student affairs at Utah State took me aside one day and he's like, you ever thought about a career in student affairs? And I was like, what's that? He's like, that's what I do. And I was like, you can actually get a degree, have a career. And so that's kind of when I changed direction.
Oh, cool. So this was kind of a mentor and like an
Yeah, he
intersection
was somebody
with a
that you
mentor
looked up to.
Okay.
He was just, he was one of those beloved, iconic people on campus that had been there a long time. And he was real involved with the whole student side of the institution. I was in a fraternity and was involved in some other stuff. And he's like, I think that you seem to have that knack that I think you might be good at this. And I was like, well, I don't know what the hell else I'm going to do. So why not? And I stayed actually at Utah State and got a master's degree that was kind of you could design your own. It was kind of interdisciplinary. Cool. And so I did like recreational education and ed psych, and ended up being hired to be I served as the first student orientation coordinator. Like they'd had people that had been involved in orientation at the university for a long time, but they wanted a student. They were like, we want to have a student feel to it. Would you be willing to do this as a grad student? I'm like, okay.
We gotta figure it out, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
You know what's so cool? And I think this happens a lot is how like that just seems like it was kind of not an afterthought, but it was kind of a chance conversation, and it's just like all of these experiences that I want to try veterinary, I want to try this, I want to try that, and you kind of just like ebbs and fits and starts, and then it's just like one kind of like side conversation that changes the whole trajectory of things.
Yeah.
And
I've had a lot of those that have come my way. And I think about, and maybe that happens to all of us all the time and we just don't realize it. But there have been plenty of diversions where I've been kind of had I wouldn't necessarily call them oh shit moments, but opportunity moments where you're like, oh, I hadn't really thought about
where
that.
the light
Sure,
bulb, you can
let's
see
do
the
it.
light bulb turn on above your
right.
head. Yeah.
It's like, what do I have to lose? So,
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. And you spent college and post-college in Utah? At like Utah State?
Post college, I was in Nebraska for a year.
And Michigan, and so you've done your thing.
Yeah, I was adventurous. It's like, so you're in student affairs and you're looking at jobs. Well, back in the day, the only place that you really looked for jobs in that, at least to my knowledge, was the Chronicle of Higher Education. So every job that was like entry level, you were applying for. And it's like, oh yeah, I can go to, I remember Heidelberg University was one of the places. And it was like this prestigious, very small, private, beautiful, I can't remember, was it in Kentucky somewhere? And I was like, oh, I could work there. And so I applied. You don't hear anything, It's like, it's not like an email or anything.
Right.
And so, Heidelberg. And then there was some institution that was by Lake Havasu. And I'd heard all about how cool Lake Havasu was.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I could go there. It was in Kingman, Arizona.
Huh.
How do I remember that? But I don't remember what the school was, but I remember it was by Lake Havasu. It was in Kingman, Arizona. And so I applied for this job as a fraternity advisor, and student activities, student life advisor or something at the University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Okay,
Yeah.
UNO.
So graduated on a Saturday, loaded up my car and started work. I stayed in my boss's house in Omaha, Nebraska, because they were going on vacation. I stayed in their house for, that's
That's the
I had a
journey.
little Volkswagen GTI
Wow.
that I bought when I was in college, brand new. I loaded it up and hauled my ass across Nebraska. I was like, wow, this is flat.
It's real
Yeah.
flat.
And there's a lot of corn. When is it ever going to be over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a
And it's
few
like
years
you
in
just keep
Iowa.
going.
And it's real similar.
Yeah. Going and going and going. It's like, wow, more corn.
And I
more
tell you
corn.
it's kind of got its own beauty, though. Like,
It
just
does have its own beauty.
The vastness of corn is literally as far as you can see. It's got its, it's not the East Ridge or the Wasatch.
It's not the East Ridge. It's not the
know,
Wasatch, and there's no windy roads. It's not curvy. You're just straight across.
Yeah, you just jam a stick in the steering wheel
I will say
and fall
though,
asleep.
when we moved out here, when I started at Tech, we moved out in like the middle of June, well, about this time in 2019, and I was blown away at the natural beauty of North and South Dakota. Just all the wildflowers, everything was in bloom, and we took our time, and we took like 4 days to get out here. Went through the Black Hills, and
Black Hills are
it's
something
just.
else.
It's beautiful. We
It's-
were just in North and South Dakota on tour. And this time of year, it's so beautiful there. There's lakes. Nobody told
Yeah,
me
who
there were
knew?
lakes in North Dakota. Beautiful flowers. The Black Hills. I mean, South Dakota too. It's not just the flat like Nebraska and Iowa. People say that.
Yeah, it's
about-
rolling hills.
It is
Yeah.
the whole state, really, from end to end. So
Yeah, it's sneaky.
Yeah,
is.
I was just utterly impressed with how the natural beauty of North and South Dakota when we came out here. So different than driving through in the wintertime when it's like the tundra and the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
yeah, I won't be out there in the wintertime.
No, thanks.
I'll pass on that.
At all. So how did you get to Michigan Tech? I know you spent most of your career at Michigan Tech, 15, 16 years, something like that.
Sometimes it feels like that. Yeah. I mean, 16 years is a long time to be anywhere in higher ed.
Yeah.
So I, Nebraska for a year and then came back to Utah, got a job at a community college. Before that, I was training phone systems, how to use multi-line set phone systems.
Who
for a
is
hot
this guy?
minute. It's like I gotta have a job.
This is less
It's like,
uncovered.
I
We're-
came back. I came back without a job, and I worked with this great woman, Babs. She was awesome. We had so much fun. She's like, these damn people they can't understand these multi-line systems. I'm like, I can't either, but I'm training people on them.
Yep.
But I got a job at Salt Lake Community College, and I ended up staying there I stayed there for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
I kind of a 7-8 year
Get
stint.
the itch.
And then that's when I met Stephanie, got married, had kids, got my doctorate, and then went to the University of Utah for 8 years, just under 8 years. And then took a job in California. So I was at the University of the Pacific out in Stockton, California for a year. Well, we were in Stockton for a year. I worked at UOP for a total of like 5 or 6 months. I had a aha moment. I had a boss that we were like definitely divergent thinkers. It's like there's no way I can't be in
You
this.
could tell
I can't be
pretty
in this
early on.
relationship with this
Yeah.
individual. And so I negotiated a deal and got out of there. And we stayed because the kids Addison was in preschool and Cole was in 4th grade. And did a job search that spring and ended up in the UP. And to be quite honest, I didn't even know where the UP was. So at the time, and I went out and interviewed, and it was similar to here. It just felt really right. The people were awesome, and they were hungry for something new and different perspective, and somebody that actually had a student affairs background. I replaced the individual that I replaced. There was the typical Dean Wormer type individual that's like, you kids, you will do what I tell you to do, And so here I was 39 years old and hungry and excited and had a really bad experience. And so I was super, I went there thinking and I told people that I would go, when we went, I said, we'll stay for 3 years and then we'll see. Because Cole he was going in 5th grade. And I said, if we're going to move again, we have to move before he gets in high school because I don't want to move him when he gets to high school. And so long story short, I went from a vice provost and dean to a vice president to I had all the student affairs stuff, and then I got athletics, and then I got all the advancement, marketing, communications, alumni relations. So I had like 300 people at the
So they're just
institution.
throwing jobs at you?
Well, what would happen is, so I got there, and the president that was the president at the time got removed by the board like 9 months in. And so I went from a vice provost and dean to a vice president in 9 months, and went from like 30 staff to 150 staff.
Wow.
And from 5 departments to 22 departments. And that was a big oh shit moment. I told the president, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'll figure it out with you. And he's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing either. So
That's the secret.
So it was a ton of fun. I mean, he put together a team. We all, the bulk of us were together for 14 years.
Wow.
And we just, we bounced ideas off of each other. We had knockdown, drag out, really hard, tough conversations in his office sometimes, but we all left as friends.
Right.
And we had kind of had this pinky pact that we're going to work through everything we need to work. We're going to have the hard conversations, but when we leave the office, we all have to be in together. And it was a phenomenal experience. And, we built a home there in 2016 on the water. And that's where we're headed back to in a week.
Man, Lake
and
Superior is something
we talk
else.
about our kids
Yeah.
with, well, we should sell this place. And the kids are like, you can't sell it. That's where we grew up. And now, Addison, our daughter, is in Utah as a physical therapist, and our son is in Phoenix. They're a hell of a long ways from Houghton, Michigan.
I was going to say, that's a long
But they're
commute.
all committed to coming back every summer. I said,
Yes.
once you start having grandkids, you have to send those grandkids to Michigan for the summer. So,
Yeah.
but I tell people that, when I went there, because I'd had such a kind of horrific experience out in California, I always tell people when they say, why did you stay so long? I'm like, well, I kept having additional opportunities, but I was kind of like a pound puppy. I was just so committed to, I'm not leaving your side. I'm here.
Especially after. I can see that
I've been
happening.
saved.
I know. Yeah.
And it was just, it's a phenomenal experience. And I've been incredibly blessed, and you know this already about me, John, but I'm a student guy, and I have so many young, I guess they're, some of them are in their 50s now, but they're students that are just, that I'm still in contact with, that are friends, colleagues that I love and adore, and just seeing them be successful is so awesome.
Isn't that something special?
It's the best.
When you can see, because I taught for a handful of years, even up at Tech, pre-Les. So I was wading through the mud. But it's so cool to see your former students do better than you are.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of them, and I keep in touch with my handful of students, and there's just nothing better and validating that you played a role in that.
Right. Yeah. It's worth more than any of the money in the world. Mm-hmm. It's seeing them be successful and staying in contact with them and watching them, and thank God for social media, because you can see, their lives. You can live their lives through their posts on Facebook or Instagram or whatever they're doing. So,
and see them grow as human beings too.
Yeah.
Some of the freshmen that come into colleges, they're just like, I wouldn't say they're like scared little puppies, but they just don't have the
they
life
are.
experience.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just see them
they
progress.
look up to you so much, and then they're like, it's like Jet today. Out at the driving range, giving me a lesson. Here's one of my former students that would tell all this students when because he was a prospector in the admissions office, and be like, oh, Chancellor Cook, yeah, I was out doing this, and he came along and helped us move a bunch of dirt my first year here. And I was like, wow, this is the Chancellor? And now it's just, he's there teaching me.
Yeah.
And that really was special. I told him, I said, I'll pay you money just to spend time with you, whether I'm learning anything or not. It's just
Maybe you hit one golf
It brings
ball
me
straighter.
joy to be able to catch up with them. So
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the cool things that I've noticed about you and your tenure at Montana Tech was one of the through lines that you've always been really consistent with that I completely and totally admire was how student focused you are. And that came through just on like the mission, the remissioning of the school. I think that was a big deal, but you were at all of the things. You were one of my most favorite pictures that I've ever seen of you is you're like frisbeeing entire pizzas into the student section at the basketball game. He's got this biggest grin on his face, and he's just chucking these pizzas
Like
into the
whole
student.
pizzas.
Whole pizzas. He's just running the sidelines.
They were in boxes. It wasn't like I was throwing here's a cheese pizza, here's a pepperoni. They were in like a Little Caesars box.
Still, that's bold.
It was so great, and like you're the chancellor of the university, and you don't have to be doing any of that stuff. You don't have to show up at everything, but you lived what you said, and you did your darndest to pull people along with you on that mission. I think you did that. So good job. Kudos to that. And that wasn't easy, but I think of the purpose of higher education in general, not just at Tech or anywhere else, but the purpose is to create successful human beings.
Correct.
Whatever that may be, whatever their idea that is. And I think the way that you carried yourself and pulled the university along was just super admirable. So thanks and congratulations. Yeah, it was really cool to watch that.
Well, thank you. It's been the biggest joy of my life to be able to do that. And I had really good people that I learned from, that I watched, and it's just, and part of it is, as I said earlier, stems from my 4-H experience. And I had these two individuals, Lonnie Larson and Carlos Sousa, that were like that as 4-H people. They took us we went to a state 4-H, I don't know, some speaking thing or horse judging or something in Reno, Nevada. And Carla took us ice skating and she fell and broke her knee. And here she is with all these like 14 to 17-year-olds. I was the only one that had a license. And so I got to drive the big extension,
nice.
Station wagon all around Reno, But I just think about how she let me do that. And you have to let people do that and learn through those experiences. And that's been like the greatest experience for me has been able to work with students, to watch them grow, to create opportunities for them, throw out ideas for them. The ones that you see that have personalities to do X, you put your arm around them and say, hey, have you thought about being a prospector and working in the admissions office? Because your personality will capture, everybody will want to come here if they hear you giving a campus tour, those kinds of things. And that's, it's the investment in people. And I don't know at what point I kind of came up with this idea, but I've always said it's about making a difference in the lives of those that make a difference in the lives of others. And I've tried to live that every day with my student affairs experience. And I had it's another one of those opportunities where you just kind of stumbled on it. So I was working at Salt Lake Community College. I was 24, no, maybe 25. I don't know. But I was this young, this is my second year in a full-time job, or third year, I guess, in a full-time job. And the VP for student affairs there came and threw this thing on my desk, said, hey, you need to go to this. And it was a mid-level management institute for this professional association. And I'm like, this is like mid-level. I'm still wet behind the ears.
Right.
How am I going to fit in with this group? And so he's like, well, you need to go. I think it'll be a good experience. And we need a representative from Salt Lake Community College to show that we're supporting them. Okay. So I went, and long story short, the people that I met there, there were people that were like associate deans, some of them. There were a couple that were VPs and a couple that were deans of students and so on. Those folks launched me. They took me under their wing and launched me. I've been involved with this professional association, NASPA, which is Student Affairs Administrators in Higher Education. Been involved with it for 30 years now, and served as the foundation board chair. I was on the board a couple of different times. I was a regional vice president. Those people invested in me, and I've tried to do that with students, investing in them and creating opportunities for them. But it was profound. I had no idea that I was hanging out with these people that were a big deal in the association. No idea. And that NASPA Region 5 has always been kind of the strongest region in the whole country. And it's Washington, Oregon, Utah, Nevada, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. And who would know? You'd think that it'd be like the region that includes California or Massachusetts or something.
Right.
Like
so
a hotbed
it's
of-
really, and so it was just another one of those lucky moments. So
Yeah. You just try to string those together as much as you can.
yeah. I got to figure out what the next lucky moment is.
Well, it's not going to be on a golf course, it sounds like.
It's probably not going to be on a golf course. So our kids did a little surprise for us. I don't know, like a month ago. Our son created a video, and he reached out to like all these because he knows. I mean, he obviously knows a lot of former students from Michigan Tech. Oh, right. He knew some people from Salt Lake Community College and people that I'd worked with professionally and so on. So he reached out to him and asked him to put a video together, just like sending remarks or whatever to me on my retirement. And at the end, it has Tanner Laws like sending us to Las Vegas to see Kenny Chesney.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so that was just such a cool experience. But it's Mr. Stepan, our beloved athletic director of the year again for the Frontier Conference. It's on there, and he's like, oh, yeah, Chancellor Cook, you know, he's saying some kudos and stuff. And he's like, you know, my words of advice are that, you know, if you want to stay married,
oh, no,
you better take a lot of golf lessons because you're a really shitty golfer and your wife's going to kill you if you don't. I was like, oh, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Love you.
Plus, you know, you should be out of the house as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Can we talk about Steph for a minute?
Sure.
I was really hoping that that you wouldn't show up and she would.
I think that's usually the case.
Like we just wanted to get to her through. No, I'm kidding, obviously, but she's a stud. She's a stud. So Steph was one of the few when we were opening Dig City. She just showed up one day and was like, "What do you need me to do?" And ended up like staining a bunch of shelves and things like that. And I was like, "Wow." The chancellor's wife just like showing up at this weird store that we have no idea what's happening. I just, you know, like, and that was, I knew her and she's great before that, but that was one of those moments again, like these little moments in life where I'm like, how cool is that? You know? And so she's an incredible gal. You've got a great family.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody that would argue with you that I definitely married up there. And so we have an interesting story. We were both at Utah State. She went for a year, and then she went and did this. Her mom owned a store, and she opened her own framing business with a store, this gallery in Salt Lake City. But when we were in college, I was the social chair for our fraternity, and so I was in charge of this big luau. And I'm a sophomore in college, and she's a freshman. She comes to the luau, she meets me, so she tells everybody, "Oh yeah, we met in college." Like. I'd been up since like 3 a.m, roasting a pig, probably started drinking at 3:30 and did that until like, 24 hours till the luau. Like, I don't remember what I ate, and so it's always been kind of funny, but yeah. So we connected after college, and it's been, she's been fabulous. I couldn't have chose anybody better to have been my partner in life. Because our kids have turned out. People always say your kids are really awesome. How do they turn out so well?
How did they come from you two?
It's my wife.
Yeah.
Well, I always say that it's that, and because we always had students over, and they're like, "Well, students have an influence." I'm like, not like we have the students that are always in trouble that are at your house. It's usually student athletes, student leaders, orientation leaders, residence life staff, and those kinds of things. So, yeah. She has really enjoyed her time or our time here in Butte. I mean, she's been involved with a number of different things with the story of Butte and things that are called snow bunnies that work with Cassie.
Snow bunnies, yeah, the shovel crew.
Shovel snow.
Yeah.
She's been out of town a few times, so I got to be a snow bunny. So.
Well, you're a snow bunny. We'll go with it.
The sidewalk. The sidewalk you have to shovel is like 20 feet long.
That's it, yeah.
It's like, oh, that was... done.
Yep, no problem. No, it's just helpful. I think anybody in this room will say like it's just so nice having that like a trusted, talented, powerful team around you, and for us like our team is.
It's really hard to do these jobs if you don't have somebody that's fully committed. And I mean, when I was interviewing, she's like, "There is no way in hell I want to be a first lady." And so. When they were doing the most recent magazine, they had some title like the matron of campus or something.
Oh my God. Oh,
and she was like, like hell. There is no way you tell Amanda to change that right now. It's like, of
She
course.
did not proof that article.
Oh,
I mean, she's as far from that as so.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's funny. Yeah. Speaking of getting to Butte, let's talk about. Can you take me back to when you started to interview, or when you were tipped off on the job opening here, and kind of the process of how you went about coming here and learning about Butte, and then realizing that Butte is the place. I'm kind of curious about how that all happened, because the one thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is that Butte is really, really special, but it's also not for everybody.
Right.
So there's this kind of dichotomy, and I'm curious how you went from all of the journeys that you went on from Omaha to everywhere else, and then getting here and seeing this place, and then and choosing it.
Okay. Well, I guess I've always had, and it actually takes me back to when I was in college, searching through the chronicle of higher education for all these jobs.
That's Google before
you're
it
like,
existed. That's just
right. Thank you.
Well, we didn't have the World Wide Web then either.
the internet. This was you barely had electricity.
We barely had electricity. Well, Logan, Utah, we had electricity. So, but you didn't have. I mean, you really had to do your own research to figure out. It's like, oh, Kentucky, sure. Wonder what that's like.
Sounds
What the
good.
hell,
Yeah.
But I've always had this idea that you can go anywhere and do anything. You just have to be committed to being there. And so when I was looking at jobs, I kind of moved forward with the premise that you bloom where you're planted, and you be all in wherever you go for the time that you're there. And I had a friend that was a president. She was a student or a student affairs VP at Bemidji State, and she became a president. And she had suggested to me a couple times, she's like, yeah, you should really think about being a president. You should think about being a president. And so I told her, I don't think I'm interested. I don't, I like what I do. I like the whole student side of things. And there are not a lot of places that would take me for who I am. And I really want to be, if I was ever to be in that role, I got to be me. I have to be authentic. And so, we got a new president at Michigan Tech, and I'd been there for a while. I'm like, yeah, and so she'd reached out to me and said, hey, we need to get you thinking about being president, because you're not getting any younger. And I'm like, okay. So this, when we got the new president, she had just pinged me one day and said, hey, you should start thinking about this. I'm like, yeah. And so then she let me know that she said, there's this job. She sent me the job announcement for Montana Tech. She said, you should think about this. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. Said it would get me back home. It's west. It's, back in the mountains, all that. And I really think another thing of it. And then I got contacted by the search firm and said, hey, you've been nominated. And she had nominated me for the job.
Okay.
So at that point, then I started doing homework. And Steph and I, when we got married, we drove to Banff on Lake Louise, and we stopped in Butte and did the whole uptown. I remember going to the Maiwa Museum and so on. I'm like, wow, this is kind of a cool mining town. And so when I started to do research on it, it was like, oh, it's another one of those mining things. And I've often said that copper must run through my veins, because where I grew up, I spent a lot of time in Ely, Nevada, and McGill, Nevada, which was Kennecott. And everybody there was working in the copper mines. And then lived in Utah for 15 years in Salt Lake City after we were married. Well, after I moved back, got married in the shadows of Bingham Copper Mine, and then ended up in Houghton, Michigan, which is copper country.
Yeah, exactly.
And I started doing research on Butte, and it's like when everything crashed in the copper country, where do people go? Butte, Montana.
Yeah.
And so it was like all this. And so it felt
Serendipitous.
it felt like it was
in that
meant to
sort of-
be
yeah.
in some ways. And it's, I have a friend that she was the president of Salt Lake Community College, and she had encouraged me a number of times. She's like, you should really think about being a president. And I'm like, I don't think so, Denise. I'm like, I want to be someplace where not everybody's going to accept Les Cook for who Les Cook is, because I feel like it's important that you need to be authentic in these roles and be able to be at a place where people are. But it felt right here. I mean, it's the people, the everything that the opportunities that I looked into, and tech was at a really interesting time. We just had had the new name change to Montana Technological University, and so it wasn't, it didn't have that of the University of Montana anymore, and it was we'd just been designated a special focus institution, gone through program prioritization. There are a lot of things that it felt like there are a lot of opportunities here. I thought, what the heck? Why not take a hard look at this? And so it was. I will say it was a little intimidating when you did the interview, because the first round of interviews they flew us all into Bozeman because the airport was easier access to get everybody in and out of Bozeman without people knowing who you were. I think there were 14 of us that they did airport interviews with, or what they call airport interviews. So you flew in, stayed in a hotel one night next to the hotel that was next door, got up the next morning, went over and went into what I called the interrogation room with you're seated in the middle, and there were 20 people around. Everybody fired questions at you for an hour, and you got up and left. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It was pretty intense.
So your first interview, you never got to town.
I didn't come to Butte for the first interview.
Huh.
Wow.
I did we did that interview, and then I had planned I was actually at the NASPA conference in LA, and got called that they wanted me to interview, and so I'm like, I had planned a ski trip on my way back to Michigan to go spend a couple days in Utah. I'm like, well, I'll just divert and go to Butte.
Oh yeah, perfect.
So I came up here and came into Bozeman and interviewed, and went back and skied all the next day, and was having dinner with my in-laws and so on. And got a call from Jim McCormick from the search firm, said, "Hey, you're lucky enough, you're moving on."
Nice.
I was like, really? So, and then I came out for a 2-day interview, I don't know, a couple weeks later. And Steph came with me to that. So,
Nice.
And that was good. It's nice to be able to bring partner or spouse with you when you come to those things, because if they're not happy, you're not going to be happy either. So,
Right.
But I will say that one of the things that was really impressed, that I was just, it's Stephanie Serini, who's awesome, and she's the biggest cheerleader for Butte. So she met us on campus and took us and did the community tour, and Don Blackadder gave us a quick tour of campus and the residents and so on. And then the next day, I remember driving up to campus. So you had that first night. And then the next day I drove up to campus, and it's you're driving up and the arch is all lit up, and you're just, you're kind of edgy and something, but it was super exciting. And I still get those jitters when I drive up, when it's I'm out of town or whatever, and you come home and you drive up under the arch, and it's such a special. The setting for tech is just awesome.
It's
special. There's nothing better.
Yeah.
People come to Butte not knowing what to expect of Montana Tech. I think they do. They obviously do their homework and so on. And it's you drive through uptown, and you're in awe looking at all the old buildings and everything. And then you're headed down Park Street, and you're not sure where
and it's up on this knob, kind of overlooking.
You come up under this arch, and there's this beautiful, cool old field there. And then there's this random statue to greet you, who you think is the founder of the university for sure,
Right, of course. He's got no real
so
ties.
It's so cool
to
that they got
Montana.
the founder right here. Has absolutely nothing to do with the university.
Yeah, that's the
But
best.
it's just it's yeah. And then I think that when people come and because a lot of people will come to do a campus tour, and they'll come in the evening, and then they do their day on campus the next day, and they come in. Oftentimes when you come and you're struck by the beauty of all that, and then you come over the hill, and the sun is going down on the Pintlers, or the sun is coming up on the Pintler. The East Ridge is shining that purple on the Pintlers. I will. Sorry.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
It's so awesome. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's just, it touches you.
We're
We're
so lucky.
When people say, what are you going to miss? It's I'm going to miss the people, but I'm going to miss the beauty of what I wake up to every morning. Because we see the East Ridge and we see the Pintlers, and it's just so awesome. So
And it just doesn't get any better.
it doesn't get any better. And you take people, like we've had more visitors here. Of course, the Upper Peninsula is really not too easy to get to.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we have a lot of visitors there, but we've had tons of people that have come and visited us here. I mean, people from Delaware, people from North Carolina, people from all over the country have come and stayed with us. We had like 14 people here for the Folk Fest last year.
Love.
But it's just when you come and you take them on the tour around campus, like around the Leonard Field with the old buildings behind, and you're overlooking Butte. People are blown away.
I mean, it feels like an Ivy League status.
Yeah.
Like it just there's something about those old
without the
buildings.
snobbiness,
Right. Yeah.
without any snobbiness.
We've got the greediness, not the snot.
Yeah.
So I'll take that any day of the week. Oh,
Yeah.
it really is special.
We're really lucky, and I feel when people ask me, what kinds of things are you proud of? I mean, us being able to get $43 million from the legislature to redo Main and Engineering Halls. I remember when I came and met with Chancellor Blackadder, he's like, yeah, we got this thing called the Long Range Building Plan. And he's like, and it's long range. It's like, you'll be lucky. He says, some of these buildings have been on here for 10, 15 years. And then it's like we not only got money, we had a pretty good idea going into the legislative session a couple of years ago that we were going to get money for Engineering Hall. We got both at the same time.
That's
and
fantastic.
That was a big aha. Wow, how fortunate are we?
Right.
We got that. So,
And it's not. I mean, it's a storied campus. Like we're about to celebrate 125 years.
125 years.
That's something special.
Yeah.
And a lot of these buildings were the first buildings on campus, right along the
Right.
Leonard Field there.
And we haven't really touched them much in 125 years.
The heating system is.
It's awesome because we kept them and didn't. It's like a lot of campuses. Well, my previous campus, they tore everything down, all the cool old buildings, and then they built all these new buildings in the 70s, which are hideous.
70s
Oh
is
my
gross.
gosh.
And so
Yeah.
thank God that we've been smart enough that we kept everything. And it's to modernize those facilities now and keep the historic prestige and, the natural beauty of the campus is going to be, it's really special.
Yeah.
And celebrating 125 years is going to be a ton of fun. And that was, some people ask me, they're like, why do you want to stick around and do 125 years? And it's, you struggle in these jobs because I had a conversation with Seth Bodner, the president of the University of Montana, who I report to, about, how long do you stay and how, there's so much that you still want to do. And it's like, we're just completing a master plan. And I said, when I started having the conversation, I said, well, we got the money for Main Engineering and, I'd love to stick around to see them done. But it's once you get the money, it's still another like 3 to maybe 5, 6 years before you get those done. And I'm like, I'll be old by then. I don't, And so you look at your list of the things you want to do, and the list is never done.
It never gets shorter.
It's yeah. And so it's like it's good. It's good timing, I think, to be with the new chancellor coming in, because then it gives Chancellor McLean the opportunity to be out and in front of everybody and it's a great year to be introduced to everybody.
Yeah.
And so and I'm super happy that he's here. So
You've done a whole bunch of stuff in your time at Montana Tech. Like we're talking PhD programs, buildings like you just mentioned, athletic. You introduced sports. I will always remember the story I think you told me where you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna have a cross country team next year. And I can't remember who you're talking to, and they're like, it doesn't just work like that. You have to go through some steps.
that would be the commissioner of higher ed.
And you're just like, well, yeah, fine. Like, we'll figure that out. But we're just going to do this. I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that bulldog.
Well, the thing that I was challenged with, or the charge was, so when I got hired, they said, we really want you to, with your background, we want you to focus on helping to build the student's experience out more. What does campus life look like, and what does that student experience look like? We need to focus on growing enrollment, and we need help telling the story. We've got a rich story to tell. We need to do a better job telling the story because people don't know about us. I'm like, oh, okay, those don't seem insurmountable. Mm-hmm. And so one of our one of our meetings early on when we're talking about budget, budget is driven by enrollment to a large extent. And so Matt said, well, one of the things we could do, we talked about is adding cross country and track and field. And I'm like, well, what's the cost? It's like a coach, some shorts and running shoes. Shouldn't be that expensive. I'm like, let's do it.
Done. Next.
And so I think we had already advertised and maybe even hired the coach. And I had my monthly call with Commissioner Christian. And I said, yeah, we're out of cross country, track and field. He's like, you can't just do that. I'm like, well, it's too late. We've already done it. We already got somebody hired. But it was interesting because there was a policy that was under review within the regions, the Board of Regents policy that was under review. It was about how the process of letting institutions add intercollegiate sports, different sports. And so the next spring, we added cross country. And then the plan was that we were going to add track and field in the spring. And so we hadn't added track and field yet, but it came up at the Board of Regents, and they're like, so what institution has been the most recent one to add it? And Commissioner Christian is like, well, Montana Tech, they added cross country and track and field. They're the most recent ones, and we hadn't added track and field yet.
Well,
so he covered for us. So it was great.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's been, I think about some of the things we've done to build the student life, the campus experience piece, and that just having that is, it's almost an additional 100 students, and they're the type of students that are attracted to an institution like Montana Tech. They're driven, they're focused, they're smart, and they're fit. They're athletic, and so it's been a great addition to campus for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the PhD program is a big deal too.
The what?
The PhD, the new
the second
PhD.
So I call it our COVID PhD because we got that approved at March 5th, 2020.
Wow.
And we were down in Dillon, and then the next week everybody came down with COVID. So,
literally.
well, not everybody, but the provost. If you might recall that our provost was like number 4 case in the state of Montana,
right,
to get COVID.
Oh my
gosh. And he had been to meetings out in Seattle, Bellevue area, which was the hotbed of COVID when it first broke out. And we were all at the Board of Regents together, and nobody knew what to expect. And so when it happened, Steph and I were out at the place that used to be a pizza place out on that end of town.
Oh, like Trimbo's?
What was it?
Was that or no, Broadway Pizza, I think.
Broadway,
on the far end.
Yeah. We were there having pizza, and Steve had let us know that he was diagnosed with COVID, and so I'd let Clay know. And so then Clay calls me, and he's like, where are you? And I said, we're out having pizza. He's like, you have to leave right now.
Yeah, go home.
I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
You have to get home, and you have to isolate.
Oh,
it was like, so everybody that was at the Board of Regents meeting, we all isolated for 2 weeks. And that was the time where every campus in the state was trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah.
And how to move stuff online.
And you were here for 2 years before that, or what? Was it one full year?
Like 9 months in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate all of that? COVID was a disaster for the universe, but particularly you running your organization, like there's some extra layers of the hell's going on here.
Yeah, it was, it definitely was an interesting time, and I was concerned about it, but I think I was pretty reasoned about it. I had, as a result of being in student affairs, after the Virginia Tech incident, when the students were all shot, and student affairs leaders, VPs for student affairs, ended up being the ones to take the reins of doing a lot of crisis planning on campuses. And so we had built a really robust crisis plan at my previous institution. We had like 35 people that had NIMS training, which is a National Incident Management System training. We had people that had like up through 600 level training, and I had done like 3 or 4 of those. We did week-long trainings where you thought of every scenario that you could. And the spring before I came here, which the anniversary was just yesterday, 8 years ago, we had a flood in Houghton that wiped out a good portion of town. It was just a massive rainstorm, was just dumped buckets of rain for like 4 hours and just flooding everywhere and washed out our whole admissions center, our campus visit center. I mean, we basically opened up the doors of the building and let the water run through. And so I dealt with some stuff like that. And so in some ways, for Montana Tech, that might have been one of those opportunistic moments for the institution that I actually that I came on board at that time because I'd had some familiarity with the system of how you plan some of that stuff. And in a lot of ways, it was probably one of the best icebreaker, team builder kinds of activities that we could do.
Yeah,
so because it's like everybody, you all had to trust each other and you all had to work together.
Right.
And I said, we're going to do what we need to do. We're going to take care of our people and, have them hopefully trust in us that we're doing everything that we can to figure out the situation and manage it so that we're protecting the health and safety of faculty and staff and our students. And we don't know what we're doing, but we'll figure it out as we go. And so, I mean, in those situations, you got to be honest. Nobody knew what they were doing, really. So the whole world was in the same, all in the same seat.
Totally.
So.
Yeah.
Was that kind of an opportunity to help you build the culture that you wanted at Montana Tech?
I think so, because I think through that, I think that we developed a lot of trust and people got to know me. I mean, they got to know the human side of Les Cook.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the most important. I mean, the most important thing that we do as leaders is to build relationships with people. And when you're in moments like that, you work your tail off to figure stuff out. And you got moments where you're on edge, all wanting to cry. Mm-hmm. But you also have a lot of moments we had COVID check-ins every morning where we'd all get on Zoom. It's like, how's everybody doing today? It's like
we all hear head count.
Gretchen Geller, God bless her. I mean, she was a former faculty member for us and a nurse, had been out at Highlands, and she had been retired for, quite some time. And Gretchen became our COVID coordinator. We had I can't remember what it was like. The email was, but it was like our prescription for a healthy fall, COVID RX or something. And everything went to Gretchen, and then she triaged where things needed to go out. Like, you need to go in and get tested. You need to go here. You need to isolate. And she's such the awesome person. But I just remember she was her technology. Sometimes she would struggle with technology, and her cat was always like climbing on her. So yeah, but I got it. It was I think it was hard. It's hard. My former president used to always say, when you're in these seats, nobody wants to hang out with you. Nobody wants to spend time with you. And so we came in, and you're getting to know all these people, and then you got thrown into COVID. So then it's like, hey, you want to meet on Zoom?
Yeah, that's the best we got. Right,
we can have Zoom happy hour.
Oh gosh.
And so it was. And I honestly think that if we had not been presented with COVID, I might have a lot more energy and been thinking that I would stick around until I'm like 65 or longer. But it's just it wipes you out. And so, and I feel really fortunate that we've been able to accomplish all that we were able to do despite having. And we did a new strategic plan in the middle of COVID. Yeah. And I said, you know what, this can be an obstacle that can be in the way of us. Or it's an obstacle, it's a challenge, but it's not going to be in the way of us moving forward.
Right.
So.
I mean, just navigating that part.
We did a lot of work on a strategic plan via Zoom. So.
Yeah, and that's probably something you could do over COVID, because you can't.
It worked.
Yeah.
So.
Boy, oh boy, COVID.
What a time.
What a time. You've talked about laying out strategic plans and what's the future of tech? Because in your position, you're kind of handing off a recipe and something that you've kind of built from scratch and babied and figured out, and you've got to hand that over to the next chancellor. What's tech going to look like in 10 years, 15 years when you come back?
I think the future for Montana Tech it's incredibly bright. I mean, there's so much going on. It's the opportunities are so rich for faculty. I think that the opportunities in the community, I mean, there's a lot going on in Butte. And so I think that I've always said that all ships rise together, and so if things are good in Butte, things are going to be good at Tech, and if things are good at Tech, things are going to be good in Butte. And so I think that there's obviously there's a lot of interest in local economic development, and I think there are a lot of young professionals and so on that are looking at Butte because there are other places that maybe aren't as desirable anymore because of the high cost of housing and those kinds of things. And so I think that's an opportunity. I think that Tech is really poised to continue to excel. We've got our fingers on the pulse of what enrollment looks like, and we're bucking the tide compared to what other institutions are. It's just, people aren't having more kids. That's the reality.
Right.
And so I've been a big believer since day one that there aren't more students in Montana, but there are more opportunities for us to get a bigger market share than we've had previously. And I think that we're seeing that. When I first arrived here, the students who were arriving were mostly a lot of rural students. You weren't necessarily getting all the students from all the metropolitan areas, or metropolitan in Montana, as metropolitan as Montana is,
True.
but you weren't getting, we got a lot of students from Billings, and we got a lot of students from, like Dillon and places like that. But now we get a ton of students from Helena. We're getting a ton of students from Missoula. There's, Kalispell, Whitefish. It's just, I think that it's been more discovered. We have a good product, obviously.
Right.
We have almost 100 companies signed up for the career fair, which is 3 months away.
You don't even
Wow.
have room for that many, do you?
When I first started here, the first year, we were excited that we got 90 companies to come for the career fair. We're at 100, and we're not even in July yet, and
it's
the
nowhere
career fair is
near
in
the
September.
school year. Yeah, that's great.
So, and it's a good problem to have. I love the stress that students have at STEM institutions, usually seniors. I've had this happen at both here and my previous place. It's like you'll talk to seniors and they're like, I'm so stressed out. I'm like, why are you stressed out? It's not senior projects. It's not senior design. It's not research. I've got 5 job offers and I don't know which one to take.
That's perfect.
That's a pretty dang good kind
Yeah.
of stress to have.
That's
And
a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a really good, it's a really good problem to have. I think that, we put together a really robust strategic enrollment plan. We've got, we've put together a strategic plan that is coming to life. We've got a new master plan, obviously, that looks at what campus can look like. It paints a pretty exciting vision for the future as far as renovating older buildings, renovating spaces, thinking about what our athletic complex and athletic facilities look like, thinking about what lab spaces look like, reimagining the library into a learning commons, thinking about what the student union. I'm on a Zoom tomorrow actually for a organization that's talking about college student unions. So I was doing a little homework today, and it's like student unions they won't look what they look like
No,
today.
the world
They're
is
not going to
totally
have
different.
a cafeteria and a bookstore, and
Right.
they're going to, it's plug and play space. It's movable spaces. It's movable walls. It's it's the maker space, all those kinds of things. That's what's going to be and so I think that imagining those kinds of things, I think that all institutions, and especially institutions like Montana Tech, we're going to continue the research piece, but I also think we're going to have stronger and stronger relationships and partnerships with industry, because there are fewer students, and it's becoming more and more competitive, and so industry is going to be far more involved going forward with providing funds to institutions and getting in front of students when they're freshmen, as opposed to waiting till they're ready to graduate.
Right.
So I think it's a really opportunistic time. There's great momentum at Montana Tech, and Chancellor McQueen is really, he's young. He's got a ton of energy. He's got a lot of passion. I think that he's the absolute right person to take us to the next level. So
Perfect. I've talked to a lot of people how I feel Montana Tech should be Montana's 3rd university.
Montana what?
Montana Tech should be the 3rd university behind U of M, MSU,
Yeah.
the 2 big ones, and then we should be the default right after that. So I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
And that didn't come easy.
right?
You've done a lot of work in a short amount of time. So
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I will always, my previous institution, the president would always say, because we had a lot of good luck over 14 years. He would always say, we're either really good or we're really damn lucky. And I feel like I've been really damn lucky for the last 6 years. And that's so much of it is the people. I mean, I've been really fortunate to have good people, and we've had people in and out. But there are people that have been so committed to this institution for a long time, like Karen Vandeveer and, people that are Carlene Cassidy and Melissa Kump and people like that have just, longtime faculty, Rosenthal's. I mean, Scott and Sonia Rosenthal are so passionate about the place. It's just, it's been a ton of fun because of all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done a heck of a job.
Thank you.
Even me personally, like you've given me some really cool opportunities, and I want to just like publicly say thank you for those sort of things. Supporting Dig City, that was a big deal. Being a speaker at the graduation ceremony, that was a really like fond memory that I'll take with me forever. And that was, your idea, so maybe your best one. So,
well, it's been fun to see things. I mean, it's been fun to, at the same time that tech has been making things happen, to see things in Uptown come to life. Yeah. I mean, there's been a ton of progress in Uptown. I mean, you got Dig City, Solange moved to where they are. I mean, almost all the storefronts are
it's
full
been a good
now.
6 years.
And there were a few that were vacant, and there are a few that had stuff that I was like, what is that?
Well, there's still
it's like, how did they survive for as long as they did? But and we're so blessed at Tech to have the support of people like you and Cassie and Carrie at, Carrie Fisher and Dave Andrews at Metals. I mean, Dave and Chris, people ask, Stephanie Serini asked me today, she's like, who are you going to miss? I'm going to miss people. I said, I'm going to miss all of you. It's like, I'm going to miss John and Cassie Wick.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss Dave and Chris at Metals. Because it's like those people, we spend a lot of time with you. You become family.
Right.
So.
And there won't be another dive bar that we won't toast to you, whether you're here or not. You. So,
well, we'll always be there, and we'll always be there in spirit at Dive Bar Fridays, and maybe we might even show up at one or two.
If you just happen to walk in, we would freak out. That would be the best, because we'll
have to figure that out, because Butte is on the way to Salt Lake City when you're coming from Michigan, or can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right, so we'll see you. We'll see you at the Scoop.
October. We'll see you in October.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, don't be a stranger.
We won't be a stranger.
I have a feeling you're going to be just only sort of retired. I feel like you've got too much energy. You're too young. You're too like go-getter to just shut it all down.
Funny you should think that.
That's my take.
I told everybody I'm taking a full year off.
Well, it's probably not a bad idea.
My wife says 2 months, and she's kicking me out.
Yeah, she might be the one that gets you out doing stuff.
Yeah, so I told her one day, I said, Home Depot's looking really good. You might want to go get a job there. She's always said she's going to go work at Home Depot or Costco. I'm like, Home Depot said, we were together for like 10 days in Utah, moving into a house, unpacking, and so on last week. And I'm like, you thinking about a job? Maybe Home Depot. Where did you want this? Where did you want me to put this?
That's right. Oh, gosh. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
You're
it's been
in the
a pleasure.
Of everything, and the transition and everything. Best of luck.
I'm incredibly grateful humbled by the opportunity. I never thought that. I didn't, obviously, when I was a little kid playing in the dirt with my stick horses and playing in the sagebrush out in Ibapaw, Utah, I didn't ever think that I would be so fortunate to be in a role like this, and it's been incredibly humbling. I can't imagine a better life, and I look at our kids and the great lives they have, and I think, wow, how blessed am I to have been able to walk this journey with so many awesome people and learn from so many people. So thank you.
And all the other lives that you've touched along the ways too, like all of the through your work in schools and higher ed, like the ripples of Les Cook will continue for a long time, I think.
Thank you.
So.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
I always tell them that I took care of you in college, and now it's your turn to take care of me as I get it.
That's how it,
My daughter said, I got a doctorate and I'm a PT because I didn't want to have to change your diapers. I'll pay someone to do that.
and that's, you've raised some good kids if that's what they're
she's pretty
saying.
smart.
Fantastic. Well, best wishes to you. We love you. Good job. We've it's been a real joy seeing the last 6 years and all you've accomplished for the school and that carried over to the town. And like I said, the ripples of Les Cook will continue on. So thanks for everything.
You. It's been a blast. Enjoyed the time.
All right. That's that.
Of all the places.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and thank you to our guest, the recently retired Chancellor of Montana Tech, professional pizza frisbeer, and copper-blooded Les Cook. If you're a fan of the show, please don't forget to hit the follow and subscribe button on your favorite podcast app or over on our YouTube channel. And be sure to check out Of All the Places podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Of All the Places podcast is produced by Morris Mountain Productions in partnership with 5518 Designs. Our theme song is made specifically for the show by your favorite power disco duo,
Oh, yeah.
Desperate Electric. For John and Ben, this is Katie. Thanks so much for listening to Season 2, the bonus episode of All the Places podcast.